Olivia from Girlybunches, and in this week's video I'm going to be showing you how I covered this decorative egg. So it'll be a nice Easter decoration. You can do this however you want, in any colours that you want. I've just done some stripes on this one. In the video I'm actually going to decorate this one, and I'm just going to keep it simple with 2 colours, I think, just to make life a bit quicker making the video and easier for you if you're a beginner. This is one that I've got from Hobbycraft. It is, as you can see there, if you're in the UK, but I'm pretty sure you can get these wherever you are. This one is a 4-inch paper mache egg, but you could get a polystyrene one. I won't touch it too much because I know people don't like the sound of polystyrene. Going to be the same principle to decorate this as it is to decorate this, so you know, your choice is yours. Obviously it'll be quicker to decorate the smaller one than the larger one, but this is easier to see on camera. So I'm going to get on and show you how I decorated this egg. And I'm just going to use 2 colours, like I said, and I'm using this lovely cotton. It's actually by King Cole if you're in the UK. I don't know if you can get this anywhere else, but I think it's a UK brand. I'm not sure actually. It's got .co.uk on it, so I'm guessing it is, and it's double knit yarn, and you need a 4mm hook for this. So you would use the appropriate sized hook for the yarn that you're using, and you'll see as the video goes that it doesn't really matter if you're using a different sized hook. So if you're using a smaller hook with a lighter weight yarn, obviously you'll have to do more stitches to go round and do more rounds, so you'll be doing more. Let's get this one I've done. You'll be doing more to start off with, and you're doing more rounds to go up with. So I think if you go more chunky, it'd probably be a bit bulky, but if that's what you want, then that's fine. It's up to you, isn't it? It's your project. So yeah, so I'm just going to use these nice pastel colours for Easter. Hopefully they'll show up all right on the camera, and let's get going. So I'm going to start off with the pink because I think that'd be easier for you to see. So we're going to start off this with a magic loop, and what you're going to do is you're going to wrap the yarn around your finger twice, and then you're going to put the hook underneath those 2 loops, and the loop that's nearest your knuckle here, you're going to pull underneath this loop that's nearest your fingernail, and then you're just going to do a little slip stitch like that. Use your thumb to hold that down, then you can slip that off your finger. And now we've got a nice movable sized loop here to work our first few stitches into. So I'm British and I'm going to use the British terminology. So I'm going to start off with 2 chains, and then I'm going to work half trebles into this magic loop. So you may know those as a half double crochet, but they are in fact the same stitch. It's just I'm using British terminology. So a half treble is you put the yarn over the hook, and you put that into your loop, grab the yarn, and then you'll have 3 loops on your hook. And then to finish off that stitch, you just pull the loop through all 3 loops that are on your hook. And that's a half treble. So into this loop, I'm going to do 12 of those. So my first 2 chains replace my first half treble, and then that's my second one there. So I'm going to come, so I'm going to do another one. So it's just into that loop, doing that half treble, and I've got in-depth videos up here and linked in my description box on how to do all stitches, and I shall make sure I link this one in case you're new to crochet. You can maybe practice that first, but it's very simple. Just yarn over into the loop, grab some yarn, you'll have 3 loops on your hook, grab some more yarn and pull it through all 3 loops like that. Okay, so I'm going to come back when I've got 12 of those into my magic loop. So there we go, I have got my 12 half trebles into that magic loop. I'm just going to take my hook out now, and I'm just going to pull that tail end there, and as you can see it all tightens up nicely and makes that into a nice tight loop that I've just worked all those stitches into, which is great because we are trying to cover this so you don't see what's underneath, and that's what we want there. So if you start off with sort of 4 chains, you'll end up with a bit of a gap and you'll see through it. If you're not bothered, then don't worry about it. You start off with the method that you find easier, but I find that this one is tidier. Whoops, a bit of, how long's that been there? Who knows? Okay, so I'm going to continue now in my same colour, and I'm just going to do a slip stitch into that second chain that I did at the beginning, which is our replacement half treble. So so a slip stitch just to finish off that round. You can keep tightening that, that's no problem. Okay, so now what we want to do is we now need to start making this bigger. So what I'm going to do for this second round is into each one of those half trebles I did at the start, I'm now going to do 2 half trebles into each one. So I'm going to do a round like that, and that will end up with 24 altogether. So I'll just start you off. So you're going to do chain 2 to replace your first treble. And it gets a little bit tricky here, so let's have a little look. So there's our first two chains that we did to start off with, and there's my first half treble replacement, and I'm going to do a half treble into that same space there. Same way of doing the stitch. Okay, so you can now see I've got 2 into that one there. So the next one along is here, and I'm going to do 2 half trebles into that one that's the next one along. Okay, and then again the next one there, so you can see your stitch at the top. I'm just going to do 2 half trebles all the way around like so, and I'm going to come back when I get back to here when I should have 24 half trebles. Right, I've gone all the way around, and I would say that's probably your trickiest row so far because it's a little bit difficult sometimes to see where you're putting your hook, but what you want to make sure is you end up with 24 stitches. Okay, I'm just going to put this down on here. Let's actually put it on this one. So as you can see, let's get rid of the hook. As you can see, I'm trying to now cover this bottom part, and I'm starting at the fattest end because it's easier to sort of come out and then come back in again. And also I want to end up at this point doing a little chain so we can hang it from. Okay, so I'm now going to, if I look at it that way, you can still see that I need to come out further. So on this next round, what we're going to do is we're going to do 2 half trebles into the first stitch, and then 1 half treble into the next stitch, and then repeat that. So then the third one along we'll do 2 half trebles and then 1 half treble. Okay, so it's the same sort of basic principle of making a circle, you know, the way you expand things. So I'm just doing a slip stitch into that second chain at the beginning just to finish off that round. I'm going to keep going in the same colour, and I'm going to do 2 chains like I did before, and then into that same stitch there I'm going to do a half treble, and then to the next one along I'm just going to do 1 half treble. Okay, so I've got 3. So you're expanding each row by 12 stitches because you're just adding that 1 extra in by doing 2 into 1 stitch. So the next one along I'm going to do 2 half trebles. 1, 2, and then I'm going to do 1 into that next one along. And I'm just going to repeat that all the way round, and then this, at the end of this round I should have 36 stitches. So 2 into the next one, and then 1 into the next one along. Okay, so I'm going to come back when I've got all the way around and I've got to 36 stitches. Okay, so I'm now just going to finish off that round by doing a slip stitch, and then take the hook out. I'm going to measure that up against my egg. So if we look here, we can see that that's covered that end quite nicely, but if we look from the side, we still need to come out a bit further. So I'm going to do another round, and to increase this round, we're going to do a half treble into the same place, so that's my first half treble, and then a proper half treble into that same space, and then we're going to do 1 half treble into the next 2 stitches. Okay, so we've gone over 3 stitches there, so that's 1 that's got 2 into it, and then the next 2 have got 1 into it, and then we'll repeat that. So that's 2 into the next one, and then 1 into the next 2. I'm going to come back when I've done that round like this and see how it looks after that. So there we go, that's the end of my 4th round, and I'm just trying to shape it now because I'm just trying to see if now, I think if I look at that edge there is sort of in line with this. So I think would be good now just to be doing no more increases, so we'll just be keeping going around doing 1 into each of those half trebles, so that makes that a bit easier. So the reason I'm showing you all of this, and I know it probably seems a bit long-winded, but because I don't know what size yarn you're using, what size hook you're using, what size egg you're trying to cover, I'm just trying to show you how I work out how I would cover something, and when I need to start working more stitches to make it wider, and then when I need to start making less stitches to make it narrower. Okay, so I hope that's coming across. Okay, so I'm going to come back now after I've done a few rounds, just doing 1 treble, half treble into each. So we're not doing any more increases now because of the what I said. It seems to be sort of in line with the widest part now. Okay, so I've done a few rows now of just doing 1 half treble into each stitch, and I'm just doing a quick check, and it looks like an acorn now. It's sitting in a little acorn nest. But I just wanted to show you, that when you first start doing a few rounds, it'll probably look like it's too big, but you don't want it too tight, otherwise you're going to struggle later on with it being comfortable around. But you'll be surprised just doing 1 half treble how much that will bring it in. So as you can see, that's got a nice sort of gap to it. It's not too tight and it's not too baggy. If you have it too tight, you'll see what is underneath, so you don't want, pull the stitches apart and you'll be able to see what you've got underneath there, and you're trying to make the illusion that you've got a crochet egg. Okay, so I just thought that was a quick check-in, and I'm also just going to check the size because where it comes up to, because I want to have a yellow band in the middle, so I think that's a good place for me to start doing a yellow band. So I'm just going to quickly show you how I would change the colour. So very simple. I'm just going to undo that slip stitch there. So what I do is, for this stitch here, I'm just going to do a slip stitch, but instead of using the pink yarn, I'm just going to grab the yellow, and as you pull that through, what you do is you finish, you'll see that your pink row finishes with a nice pink sort of stitch, and then you just carry on doing in the yellow, and it doesn't make any sort of weird connections, so you just start using the next colour. Okay, so that's just what I wanted to show you, and I'll just keep going in the same fashion and come back. Okay, so I've done 1 row in yellow there, and I'm liking that. So now I think it's time to start bringing the sides in to taper it up towards the top of the egg. So to do that, we're going to be doing decreases in the same way that we did increases. So, okay, so what do I mean by that? Okay, so we're going to be decreasing at the start of the round, a little bit tricky. So I would normally do 2 chains to replace my half treble, but we actually want to join these 2 stitches together, so I'm only going to do one chain, and then I'm going to do my half treble into that next stitch, grab the yarn and put it through all of those loops. And now, instead of having 2 chains and a stitch at the top and then my half treble, what we've done is we've reduced that into 1 stitch, if that you can kind of see that. A bit tricky at the start of the round. Then we're going to do half trebles into the next 2. Okay, so we've worked across 4 stitches there, 1, 2, 3, 4, but we've only got 1, 2, 3 points at the top to work into. So that's how you can tell how many stitches you've got, by looking at these V's. So we've worked across 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches, but we've only got 1, 2, 3 V's at the top. Okay, so now I'm going to work the next 2 half trebles together. So I find that this is a nice smooth way of doing it, by doing it this way, which is put the yarn over the hook, put the hook in, grab some yarn, and then start off the next stitch with a half treble. Okay, so I'll just show you that again. So yarn over to do your half treble. I'm going to go into that loop, grab some yarn, and that would be a half treble, but I'm not going to finish it off yet. I'm going to go into the next stitch, grab some yarn, and that's essentially, now if I put the yarn over and pull those through those loops there, that's reduced those 2 stitches into 1. I hope this makes sense. Okay, and then we're going to do half trebles into the next 2 like we would normally do. Okay, so there we go, we've reduced the 4 stitches into 3. So I'm going to do that all the way around. So that's start off a half treble, start off the next half treble and make that into 1, and then 1 half treble into the next 2. And that is essentially removing 12 stitches from this round. So we increased by 12, and now we're going to start decreasing in 12s for that next round. I'm going to come back when I've got all the way around and I've reduced my row by 12 stitches. So I have finished that round now by reducing it by 12 stitches, and I've got 36 stitches all the way around now, and I'm just trying this on for size, and that's looking like a perfect fit to me. So, you know, make sure you're adjusting it and pulling it up nicely, and yeah, I'm really pleased with the way that is looking. So when you're working yours, it might be a question of checking it. You might have to undo a couple of rounds just to kind of make sure you're not going out too far or coming in too quickly. And I'm going to do another round of just doing 1 half treble into each of those stitches from the previous round, and then I'm going to start bringing everything in further up. So I'm just going to swap to my pink now. So there we go, I've done my round of pink where I just did 1 half treble into each of the stitches, and I'm starting to like the way that's looking. As you can see, it's starting to get snug now, we're starting to come inwards, but I've still got a bit of play, I can still get that in, but I'm going to do a decrease on the next round, so I might struggle to get that back in again. So be prepared to have to start working around your object, you know, with it in situ. So I'm going to attempt a round now of decreasing and see if I can get that back in, but I think after that point I might struggle, but we'll see. We don't want to stretch it too much as we're taking it in and out, but just to cover, now I'm going to start decreasing each of those remaining rounds. And whereas if I can get this to focus, I did 2 together and then 1, 2 in between each of those together stitches, so I had 2 separate ones. Now I'm going to be just having 1 in the middle, and then the next round after that there won't be any, I'll just be going straight into decreasing every 2 stitches. So right, so there we go, that's a round covered, holding the egg and crocheting at the same time, and it's a lot more difficult to do through a camera. If you're holding it up against yourself, it's much easier to do, but I'm sort of leaning forward here, so it probably looks a little bit awkward, more awkward than it actually is when I'm filming it on camera. So I actually think this row I'm just going to do 1 half treble into each stitch, because I think that way it will bring me up nicer. But let's see, shall we? So, you know, it's not, we haven't wasted anything, we can easily undo it, and I'll just do my 2 chains and then start doing the half trebles all the way around. So it's just a question of trial and error now, on your part as well as mine. And this is how you cover things, you know, you kind of just have to play around, see how it goes. You don't want to, you can see there that the stitches, you know, have stretched out a bit, you can see a little bit through, but it, you know, the overall effect is still fine, and it still looks fabulous. It still looks much better than that, doesn't it? Yeah, so I'm just going to keep going, doing 1 into each of this these stitches on this round, and then I shall probably decrease on the next round. I'm just going to keep going in that fashion until I get up to the top, and I will come back when I have finished doing this round, which I'd imagine are going to be a couple of stitches by the time we get up to this point, and I'm going to just show you how I finished it off with that loop. Okay, so I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so I have made my way all the way up to the top of my egg, and now I'm just going to do some simple little chains just to finish that off and make that into a loop. Right, so I've just done about 15 chains there, and I'm just going to slip stitch that into that bottom there, just get that nicely tucked in, and then I can finish that off and cut my yarn. Happy with that. So I've got 2 Easter eggs there now, which would be lovely hanging decorations for the festivities. So yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. It's a method more than an actual sort of pattern. Method of showing you how to kind of increase and then decrease to make the shape that you need. So I hope you found it helpful, and I hope that you'll share your lovely crochet Easter eggs with me. You can put them and post them to my Facebook page if you like, that would be great. Or you can share them with me on Twitter or Instagram. You just tag me at Girlybunches or hashtag Girlybunches and I'll find you. And yeah, so thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Give me a thumbs up. If you have any questions, please do put them in the description box down below. This is just a bit of a trial and error once you get into past the sort of wide part of the egg, just to make sure you're covering that up nicely. But yeah, go for it, enjoy it, and I can't wait to see what you make. So I'll see you in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye!